Now that we've gathered all of our supplies, your sock or swatch that you'll be working with, your scissors, your tapestry needle, and your darning egg or darning egg substitute, as well as a contrasting color of yarn in a similar weight to what you're going to be working with, it's time to get started. I want to show you how to do the duplicate stitch method first. To do the duplicate stitch method, we'll actually follow the work of the knitting so that it will create a patch like this one. So it looks just like I have knitted over my sock. And that's what we're going to try first. To do that, you want to make sure that you pull off a good length of yarn. You can always add more yarn in later. So I usually do at least a yard or two. And then you want to make sure that you thread the blunt tapestry needle. We'll use the sharp tapestry needle when we're actually making a woven patch, but for our sock today, the blunt end will do. So here we are with our sock that we are ready to darn, and we're going to do the duplicate stitch first. And here you can see that I have some very thin areas in this sock, and if I don't address it soon, that could turn into a hole. So what I want to do is take my sock and my darning egg, and I'm just going to stick the darning egg into the sock until it's comfortable to hold. And then here you can really see how thin this area has becoming. You can see it stretched over that darning egg. And that's really the purpose of the darning egg. It's just to help you to see your stitches. It's so you don't stitch both sides of your sock together or whatever else you happen to be fixing. But this is our sock here. So remember, we threaded the tapestry needle, the blunt one, with plenty of yarn. So what we're going to do is try to identify where this thin area starts. We actually want to go outside of that just a little bit. I'm actually going to take my tapestry needle and I'm going to find a spot where it goes in. And then I'm going to pull that yarn up, and I want to make sure that I leave a little bit of a tail. And then I will just follow the line of the knitting. So I can see my knitting comes up here. So I have to go under 2, 1, 2. And now I'm going to follow this again. So I've come down and I'm following the line of my knitting, so we have to come down next. And remember, we have to find 2 sides. So we're going to go in 1 and in 2, and then go ahead and pull that up and snug it down. So here's our first. Now we have to follow this line again. So go up into the stitch next to it, and then come down again. We don't want the tail getting caught. So here's our first 2 stitches, and then we need to follow that line again. So we'll come up again here. And we'll come down again. And I can see it's fairly thin down here too, so I'll probably go in and add another line of stitching. So here we're going to go up 1 row, so we're going to stick the needle in on that side and just pull the yarn through, and that's going to take us up 1 row because we've gone into the center of that stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and carry the yarn up, and we're going to follow that line of knitting again, just like we've done before. And you can actually do this on either side of your work, but going under that first stitch and bringing it up will carry you into the next row. So here we are at that last stitch of the row, and what we're going to do is use that needle tip and insert it under the 2 bars from our previously worked stitches. And now what we're going to do is take that needle tip and we're going to insert it in the center of the stitch so that we can bring it up one row. So once you have inserted your needle tip through that stitch, you're just going to go ahead and pull your yarn all the way through. Remember not to pull it too tight. And then go ahead and bring it up one row so that we can start working the next row of duplicate stitch across the area of our sock that is thin. Adding in a new piece of yarn is very simple. All you have to do is let the tail dangle from your old piece, thread your tapestry needle with a new piece of yarn, and then go ahead and pull it up until you've left a little bit of a tail. Then continue to work the duplicate stitch as you've done before across the row. You can leave your ends dangling until you're ready to put all of your ends in. Once you have completed your darned patch, it's time to put your ends in. Make sure that your tapestry needle is still threaded, and then run it under a few of the stitches in your patch. You don't need to worry too much about the ends, as we're just going to trim them flush with the patch. This isn't a piece where you need to worry about your ends running. Once you've put in all of your ends and you're completely finished with your darned patch, you are done. And it's time to learn how to do our next patch, which is a woven patch. So let's move on to the next lesson. And there we go. We have now successfully darned that hole in the heel of this sock. Hopefully your practice worked well too. So now this sock has actually had a duplicate stitch patch at the toe, and it has a woven patch at the heel. And these poor socks, if they survive, will probably be patched a few more times, because once you've made your own hand knit socks, you just really want to make sure that you can wear them for a long time. So hopefully by learning how to duplicate stitch and make a woven patch, you can extend the life of your own knitted wearables as well. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do a larger patch on a larger hole. It's something that you really want to avoid if you can, but let's take a look at how to do that too.